This webisode of Waterways is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha revs your heart. Boat Blurb, inspired boating content. Become a subscriber today. And St. Clair Boat Sales, turning boaters' dreams into reality.
The temperature's rising, you're feeling the heat. All you ever wanted it to be. The summer, the summer, the summer of you. Do all the things you want to do. The summer, the summer, the summer of you.
Last week we tackled the Welland Canal, and like most coming up bound, we ended our day with a hard turn to starboard and into the marina here. But most leave first thing the next morning and continue their journey, and I think that's a shame, because this small town is big on beach and boating vibes. Welcome to Sugarloaf Marina on the shores of Lake Erie, Niagara Region's South Shore, Lake Erie's North Shore, and an absolute gem of Ontario's boating world. This week we're coming to you from Port Colborne. Well, I can't set up the gear. I don't know how to target the fish. I can barely reel one in, but I can drive a boat. Look, I'm helping. Yesterday, beautiful, flat as glass as we come through the Welland. Today, well, they're already kicking up a little bit, and it's just gonna get worse all day long. But the fish won't mind. A quick glance at the boats at the marina, and you can tell this town is big time into fishing.
If it's flat, like, you'll definitely see the board go down.
And welcome to Lake Erie, a couple miles offshore. My buddy, Tommy Fiesel. How are you, buddy?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Clearly knows what he's doing in terms of fishing. We've got multiple lines in the water. Don't worry, we're legit. We all have licenses. There's other people here as well. What are we looking for, buddy?
We're targeting walleye right now. Right now, the bite's been a little tough. The weather conditions aren't that great, but we're gonna do the best we can.
These waves are already building.
Yeah, they're getting bigger. The weather conditions are gonna get worse as we go throughout the day, but it is what it is. This is Lake Erie in the Eastern Basin.
Yeah, you're used to this, I bet, eh?
Yeah, we're out here all the time, so we get used to it.
Cool. All right. Stand by for fish. And go. Ah, that would have been awesome if that worked.
Yeah.
While you're waiting for the fish, you can do some leg squat surfing practice. It's exclusive to the Eastern Basin. Don't skip leg day.
Please be a walleye. Please be the right species.
All right, didn't get skunked.
Strong species.
For the non-anglers out there, that was a trophy walleye. Trust me. Obviously, the anglers know that's not the case. So, we go back into the bear pit. We actually decided to call it a day after that. The waves kept building and were only forecast to get worse. And we had an hour run back to Port Colborne. And while this is a solid boat, it's not massive. Luckily, Tommy can drive like a champ. We didn't get skunked, technically.
Didn't get skunked.
Just the one, though. We didn't get what we were looking for, but on big water, especially, you got to pay attention to the conditions. And the wind was building, so we made the right call. Expert driving, by the way. That's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy, but you get used to it out here.
This week's 60 Seconds of Safety comes from me. Well, actually, not me. From an app from the Canadian Safe Boating Council, and it's funded by the government, so it's free. They just want you to be safe. It has a lot of information on there, including the weather. It's called Weather to Boat, and you'll see it has both city and marine. And why is marine forecast important and why is it different? Well, because the weather acts differently over the water and does different things to it. Here in Port Colborne, along the canal side here, absolutely beautiful day. It's a nice little breeze to cut the heat just a wee bit. And you can see there's not much in terms of waves in the water here, but just past that point is where we were slamming through meter and a half waves. That's because it's 200 nautical miles with nothing in the way, and it just builds and builds, and the waves build and build. And so if you look at the marine forecast, big red, it says strong wind warning. It doesn't say that on the city side. That's why you want to check the marine forecast. It's nice to have it in both apps. Be smart, be safe, then you can have all the fun you want. To borrow a line from my father-in-law, a retired fishing charter captain, sometimes you've just got to declare a blow day. It's the perfect excuse to explore a new town and see what the marina has to offer, other than power and pump outs. Puddin' Bay. Pretty sure I had a good time there. I mean, there's pictures. I don't really, it's not important. I'm no doctor, but I think he's got a leg problem. These, I believe, were an original form of game show they would use on the old pirate ships and spin them around, and they'd have numbers and everything there, and you'd win treasure. Again, I don't know what they are. I'm going to guess and say confidently on television that these were parts of one of the old Welland Canal lockage systems, and we will clean that up in editing if it is incorrect. For a small town, this sure has some big stuff to look at. If you're up for a bit of a walk, in about 45 minutes from the marina, you can make your way here, to the beach. But not just any beach. This one that wraps around Gravelly Bay is 2 kilometers long and one of the few beaches in Ontario, well, anywhere really, that you can drive your car right onto. Get some pretty serious Daytona Beach vibes happening here. If you're the more adventurous type, there's the 45-kilometer long Welland Canal Parkways Trail that runs from Port Colborne to Port Dalhousie. One of the best things to do to learn about any sort of new town is to talk to a local, and I found one. Greg Poisson, how are you, buddy?
How you doing, Nance? Nice to meet you.
So, you moved here when you were 10, lived here for a long time, moved away and came back. Why'd you come back?
Well, I came back because I realized how special this town was. I didn't clue in that when I was 20 years old when I left, but after traveling over the world for 10 years, I clued in that, hey, this is a great town to be. I want to be back in my hometown. And that's kind of what brought me here. And the big thing was the canal. I don't think you realize it as a kid. Oh, the bridge is up, God, I got to go around. But as I got older, you start realizing this is something special that most towns don't have, very few towns have. So that is what brought me back.
I see when you came back, or why you came back. So the Welland, you're a bit of a history buff too, right? Like, so like this is the fourth one, and so you can see the giant ships coming through. But there's been a few, like we can see right behind us, there's some remnants here, right? Is that what these are?
Yeah, I'll give you some idea what stuff is. Literally, where we're standing right now is the original first canal, the very first one made, in 1830 around, the very first canal, and then they did the second and third canal, which is what you see right here, and that was 1854. I hope I have my dates exact, but I'm pretty close on the dates. 1854, and then in 1930 around is when they built the bridge, and they did the fourth canal, the last canal, which all the big ships come in now. Interesting thing about it is this is West Street right here that we are at. There used to be an East Street, so literally where the trees are right there used to be a street, and on the other side was all a bunch of buildings just like East Street. A lot of commerce going on there, but the government expropriated the land and they built the canal that we have now, which is the fourth canal. I would say the number one thing to do in our town is boat watch, obviously. Come here and watch the boats. The other thing to do is we have this kind of, I would say, an East Coast vibe to our community here. So if you want to feel what it's like to be out east and not have to fly out east, come to Port Colborne, I'm telling you. It has that feeling.
Lake Erie has calmed down. As temperamental as she can be to whip up in the waves, she can cool her jets, which is wonderful because it allows us to get close to this beauty, the Port Abino Lighthouse. This was made in 1917, only decommissioned in 1995. If you want to see it, you got to do what we did and gently ease up to it because lighthouses are here to stay away from. We're doing the exact opposite of its intended purpose. We're getting closer to it. And obviously it gets shallow. I'm not sure if our cameras will be able to pick it up, but there's waves breaking there. So if you do want to come check this out, be very, very careful, go very slow, check your charts. If you want to check it out by land, I got bad news for you. There's a gated community there. You can't get in. Trust me, we tried. But they do have tours. So the town of Fort Erie owns this lighthouse and they allow the public through a couple times a year. So you do have some opportunities, but just not when you want. Unless, of course, you're out on a boat. So we're about halfway between the Port Abino Lighthouse and the Welland Canal. And just over here, you can probably see the remnants of a steel freighter that is a wreck. In the 60s and 70s, they started tearing it down, but they've left a good portion of it. It's not lit, so you're not going to see it at night. And do not try and pass between that and the shore. You'll see on your chart, there's rocks everywhere. In fact, getting this close to it, not the best idea, but I wanted to make sure we could get a shot for you. I'm staying safely away. We're still in 17 feet of water. Something to keep in mind while boating in Lake Erie is that even though it's a massive lake, it's the shallowest by far of any of the Great Lakes, and especially along the shorelines, there's lots of shoals and markers. This is not somewhere you just hug the shoreline for fun.
This year, for the ship's 101st birthday, we were able to bring Oriole back into the Great Lakes. This is, in fact, one of one in the Royal Canadian Navy. This is HMCS Oriole, and that's the Navy's sail training vessel. So Oriole was built in 1921 by the Gooderham family here in Toronto. Actually, its home yacht club is just across the water from us over at the Royal Canadian Yacht Club. And the Gooderhams owned this ship right up until 1947. During the Second World War, they'd lent it to the Navy for training purposes. And then at the conclusion of the war in 45, the family wasn't sailing the boat very much and recognized the value in lending it to the Navy, and so decided to do that on a more permanent basis. And so for the incredible fee of $1, they sold the ship to the Navy, but there were, of course, conditions. And those conditions were that the Navy maintain the ship and keep it as a sail training vessel. And so it was commissioned into the Navy in 1954, and that makes it the oldest commissioned ship in the Royal Canadian Navy. And today, right from 1954 until today, it is a sail training vessel. You know, this is our main anchor, and it weighs about 215 pounds. Lifting the anchor, moving the anchor out, takes 3 people, right? We'll have one on this side, one on this side, one at the front, and it's up, in, and out. And sometimes we make it, and sometimes we don't. So we'll take 6 people. They'll sit on the deck like this. That line comes through that large block, and they will pull that line in to raise the sail. Because again, remember that sail weighs over 500 pounds. One of the most common questions we get is, why is the wheel on backwards? And, you know, yes, it certainly appears that way, but again, remember this is a sailing vessel. And our wheel is canted this way because it's directly connected to the rudder post. So I can show you that. In this way. So what we have is a very traditional, very standard, and very practical worm drive. So if you turn the wheel there, you'll see what happens in that this arm pivots. And this arm, like I say, is directly connected to the rudder. So as we're turning it, you can see our turn indicator where the rudder might be at any time through that indicator. But it's just a very simple system. So again, just watch your head everywhere you go. 20 people. We get 3 squares a day out of here, so 3 square meals a day, plus soup when we're under operation at 10 o'clock every day. It's a very strong Navy tradition that soup is served at 10 o'clock every day. So this particular item, this is Oriole's original ship bell. We use the ship's bell for christening, and then that person's name gets engraved on the bell for posterity. A little piece right here has some history to it. This is a piece of the main mast that broke off in one of the Victoria to Maui races, and it's kept as a memento of that particular incident. Last year we were in St. John, New Brunswick, and there were a group of Navy veterans who came down to see Oriole who had actually sailed on her. And they told us the story about being on board when that mast broke. We took this piece of mast up to show it to them, and they cried when we gave it to them. It was a really special moment. Yeah. So there's a lot of history in Oriole. Oriole's had a lot of people sail her over the years, and you know, she grabs you. She grabs your heart and she grabs your soul. Oriole is to the Navy like the snowbirds are to the Air Force. We are that public-facing outreach element that can really connect with Canadians. People love seeing ships like this. And when we're able, like we are today, to get people on board and give them deck tours, for instance, they get to stand on the teak decks of a 101-year-old sailing vessel. Not a lot of people get to do that.
Got a little more, or maybe it's a little,
A little better fish, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Now the diver's released, so you got no pull. So there's your diver coming out of the water, fish is behind it. Better fish. I got him.
Oh, look at that guy. James Hall, how are you, buddy?
Not bad, are you?
Living the dream. This is a beautiful day.
Gorgeous Lake Erie.
Yeah, so you got a charter business. Obviously, you love fishing enough to make it a business. How long have you been doing it as a charter?
I mean, 10 years out here, 7 years in port. So it's phenomenal. It's one of their big stops on their migration route around the lake, and this is kind of the central point of the whole eastern basin of our fishing on the Canadian waters.
Are you born and raised in Dunnville? Or
I've lived in Dunnville my whole life.
How'd you get into fishing? Is like family into it, or is it just?
So my dad was a commercial fisherman. So like ever since I was a little kid, I was thrown on a boat my whole life. So
Come by it naturally, eh?
just second nature pretty much.
But the fishing's good here, though, right? You're a little spoiled.
No, we you know what? We have a lot here. Like we got perch in the spring, we got Lake Ontario salmon, we got the walleye here, we got a phenomenal bass fishery. Like there's no point of traveling for walleye fishing when we have what we have right at our doorstep.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gorgeous Lake Erie eater.
Just hammering them. This is why you go out with the charter guys. We haven't even had our lines in the water for an hour, and we're on fish number 4. I mean, no offense, James, but in editing, I want to make this look like it was all me, buddy. No.
That's all right. That's all right. But here,
Oh, there you go.
this is a good fish.
Yeah. On your way back, Captain James cleans your catch. So when you step off the boat, he hands you a bag, which can be heavy if you've had a good day, of ready-to-cook, fresh-caught walleye. And it's absolutely delicious. But if you're not a seafood fan, Friday mornings are for you. That's when the farmers market sets up shop right downtown. It's about a 15 to 20 minute walk from the marina, or a 1-minute walk from the municipal docks. I'm not wasting gas or taking any excuse for a boat ride. No. You see, this was strategic. It's hot, and I gotta get these cherries into the fridge ASAP. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This week was a bit like spring. In like a lion and out like a lamb. Strong wind warnings to start, but absolutely idyllic conditions on the last day. So I called my sister and her family and invited them down for a swim. And because Nickel Beach is gated, it means it's closed to land-based traffic during the day, so boaters have it all to themselves at night. And on this final night in particular, Mother Nature put on a show.
This is like 4 or 5 pounds?
Oh yeah, beautiful fish.
Huh. You just do some curls. I should update this sign right underneath Waterways Series 1, Episode 3, Muskoka. And this right here is world famous. This was Captain Chris Cook's private sailing vessel wheel. I don't know what it is, actually. It just looks really neat. It's here right beside Bridge 21 at the end of the Welland. Chris Cook, of course, is the man with the plan behind the camera. Whatever this was is pretty cool, though. First of 36 that we caught. We just didn't shoot all 35. Not bad.
That's a gorgeous eater.
Yeah.
This summer, this summer, this summer of you.